cared about his students deeply. He cared about his subject deeply, and he had a lot of integrity and was just a good person.
He was like really on top of things with students. I remember personally, I was struggling at the beginning of the year, and he told me that he needs to have a parent-teacher conference after school. And I was a little surprised because it was just a couple assignments, and I was thinking, it's not really that big a deal. We don't need to have this, but he kind of showed that he really cares about every student that he had, and really kept me on track and made me love chemistry.
I never heard a negative thing about John, not once. Everybody who had him as a teacher respected him and liked him and felt like they really got something out of his classes. I hear a lot about he made me interested in chemistry. I didn't like science at all, but after his class, I was really interested in it.
I was a huge nerd. I was always in there in his classroom during lunch asking questions. He was always making jokes because I basically lived in his classroom during lunch just asking questions and always being stressed out. He was super passionate, like one of the most passionate teachers I've had, because he was just always in his classroom for questions and yeah.
I will say the first time I noticed him, we were in a teacher in service, and it was like my second day of my job, and he had been there about 6 months at Pasadena. I thought, oh my God, what a smart mouth. Because he was like popping off, and I was like, oh, because he had a really quick sense of humor.
I recently visited him like about 2 weeks ago. I Christmas caroled to him, and he was still his same old self. I don't know, we were singing Deck the Hall, and he was just like, we have plenty halls in this house. And he was just making he's just very sarcastic and just super funny and welcoming.
I remember one thing that he did. I used to have a bathroom pass that was a purse, and one day it disappeared. And I suspected that Mr. Rucker had something to do with it. And he said, I don't know what you're talking about, but you might want to check out this website. He gives me this address of this website to check out. He said, maybe that might have some more information about your purse. And the title of the website is, Where in the World is Mr. Ferrari's Purse? The very first one was a picture of a guy up in outer space. And he happened to have my purse. He was holding my purse, so my purse was in outer space. Every Friday, for probably 3 months or so, or 4 months, there was an update on where is Mr. Ferrari's purse. It was over by the Taj Mahal one time. It was with the wreckage of the Titanic. To this day, he never admitted that he had anything to do with it, but I know he did, because how would he know to refer me to that webpage if he didn't have anything to do with it? But he swore up and down that he didn't have anything to do with it, but I know he did.
He's come to my house a couple of times. We went through the house, and then we went to the garage. Now, my house was built in the 30s. It's old. But we went into the garage, and he walked in. He took a deep breath. Then he slowly let it out, and he turned to me and he says, I love the smell of old garages. I will miss John. I will miss him quite a bit.
It's the 80s. And Carl's Jr. had given away these glasses that had neon sides. And I'm giving him grief about them and how dorky they were. And so he rolls down the window and just chucks them out the window, and they go flying. We could see them bouncing down the freeway. And it was just really funny because that was just him. When he was getting chemo, and I'm sitting next to him, and he the whole time is telling the nurses, where is she okay? Because he knew I would be really upset. And that was him, because he was worried about the people around him more than he was himself. He didn't want his students to know, because we knew before break that he was going to hospice care, that they had moved him, that there was nothing else they could treat. The students need to know he really cared about them. He really, truly did. And he was, one of his biggest regrets that he didn't get to say goodbye, because when it was his last day, he didn't realize it was his last day. And he said it to me a lot of times. I didn't get to say goodbye, and he cried over it. And they need to know he cared that much about it.